Dr. Amy Selkirk. I am the oboe teacher at the University of South Alabama, and I am here to work with you today on your lyrical etude for the All-State Band auditions. So this etude comes out of the Fairling book. It's a large collection of etudes for the oboe. Saxophonists also like to steal it, but it was originally written for oboe. There are two etudes in every key signature, so you have a slow lyrical one and then a fast one. So the two that you have to learn for this audition are your lyrical and your technical etudes in G minor. If you flip through the book really quick, if you have the book, you'll notice that a lot of the slow lyrical etudes are marked at a much slower tempo than the one that you have to play, you lucky ducks. So anything that's marked largo or adagio or larghetto is going to require a lot more breath control than something that's marked andante. It's still going to require some breath control, but it's a little bit easier. So that's a good thing. I think when you are starting any piece of music, but especially this etude right now, because it's what we're working on, you want to think about getting the most beautiful start you can to the beginning of the note. How are we going to do that? So it's a piano G, right? Very, very soft G. A lot of young players, when they start a note, tend to either get a lot of tonguing sounds at the beginning of the note before the actual note starts, or a lot of air or a hissing sound, or a combination of all those things. So we don't want or what we want is silence and then the note. So how do we get that? What you need to do is think about the note first. Think about the dynamic it's at. Think about what register in the oboe it is, because that's going to affect how you have your embouchure set up for it. So like I said, it's a piano G. You want to be blowing a fast airstream, but not a wide airstream, right? Because it's not a forte G, it's a piano G. And then you got to think about that first. Just make a decision. And then you're going to set up the reed in your mouth like you're going to play. You're going to cover the end of the reed with your tongue. And then you're going to start blowing air behind your tongue. Once you feel like your embouchure is set up correctly and you're blowing the right amount of air that you need to play that note, you're going to remove your tongue. Make that a regular part of your practice routine every day on several notes throughout the range of the oboe, but especially on the first note of whatever you're playing. So the steps are, once again, put reed in mouth, cover end of reed with tongue, blow air behind tongue for the note that you are trying to set yourself up for. And once you feel like you're ready, remove your tongue, and the note should come out beautifully. The end of this measure, measure 1 and in measure 2, you have some accents. This is not a march, it's not a marcato style piece. The accent just means it should be a little bit louder at the beginning of the note. So how we're going to achieve that is by blowing a slightly faster stream of air at the beginning note. You're going to tongue just the way you were tonguing on that beautiful G there. So you're not using any extra tongue to get that accent. Play with vibrato already, it's also a great opportunity to use some really quick vibrato just to get that nice accent effect. And then you have some trills in measure 3 and 4. So I would break this down. Measure 3, I would practice it first without any trills, without any grace notes, at a nice slow tempo. Once you feel like you have the rhythm really solidified, I would add the grace notes. In this case, the grace notes are going to come before the beat. Play that one more time. Okay, and when we think about trills, think about it. A lot of young students think a trill means just wiggle their finger really fast for however long the note says to do it. But I think it's going to sound much more musical and meaningful if you have a plan. So I always plan out the number of times that I will trill. So on that F sharp, I'm going to trill twice. So I will play for the same thing. In the next measure, I'm going to play next thing to think about, making a huge crescendo up to that D, the forte D you have, but also not overshooting the D or playing it sharp. So how are we going to do that? We're going to keep our embouchure nice and wide open, not pinching. We don't want to pinch, we don't want to have too much reed in our mouth. We want to blow a nice full stream of air for that D. So I'm going to back up a little bit and start the end of line 1. So that forte is our first forte we've really had. We want it to be a big moment, but like I said, we don't want to overshoot that D. We don't want it to be sharp. And then we want to make a nice decrescendo back down to piano. How many trills are we going to do on that last F sharp there, that quarter note? I did 3 trills and then I did the grace notes into the G. Just have a plan. Don't just do it differently every time. Always make sure you have a plan for the number of trills. Alright, and last thing that I think is important to go over in this one is a little turn that's written out for you. This is the end of line 3, the very last measure. Turn. In a lot of Etude books, they're just going to write a little squiggle over the note, and it just means to turn. But they actually were nice and wrote out the notes for you. It's just 4 very fast notes that are going to happen before the end of Etude. So you feel this as 4 even 16th notes. Think about that turn happening on the second 16th note. And that's where you end. So it's kind of a weird spot to end. I would recommend finishing it out, playing the whole Etude. It's a really beautiful Etude. But that's as far as we need to go. So if you have any questions about this Etude or anything regarding the oboe, please feel free to email me. My email is amyselkirk@southalabama.edu.